After Amira and her mother-in-law fainted from the shocking news they have received from the doctor, they were given a room at the hospital to rest and recover. And Amira was the first to wake up. While her mother-in-law lay on the hospital bed next to her, she stared at the ceiling for a moment before reality came crashing down on her. Tears welled up in her eyes, and within seconds, she was crying uncontrollably. Leroy, who had been half asleep beside her, sat up in shock. Amira, what is it? He asked, holding her shoulders gently, trying to calm her down, but she was unconsolable. I don't understand, Leroy, she sobbed, shaking her head wildly. How can my twins not have the same father? How? It's not possible now. She clutched at her chest, gasping for air as her cries grew louder. I swear on my life, I have never cheated on you. I swear. Her hands clung desperately to his shirt as she continued to wail like a mad woman. Leroy tried to hold her close, whispering, Amira, please calm down. We will fix this. I believe you. Just calm down. Just then, his mother woke up. To the commotion, she sat up, rubbing her eyes, only to see her son struggling to pacify his hysterical wife. The moment she realized what was happening, she stood up, walked straight to her son, and delivered a resounding slap across his face. The room fell into an eerie silence. Leroy, stunned, held his cheek, his eyes wild in shock. Mama, what was that for? He asked, with tears brimming in his mother's eyes and rage contorting her face. His mother spat. Phew, you are a disgrace for a son. She then turned to Amira, who immediately averted her gaze, her shoulders trembling. Leroy's mother's voice was laced with venom as she said, As for you, your suffering is just beginning. You have brought shame and dishonor to my family. You will regret the day you ever met my son. You will regret the day you betrayed him. Leroy frowned. Betrayed? Mama, where did you get that from? He asked. Where did I get that from? Do you even hear yourself? Your wife has given birth to children that are not even yours, and you still ask me where I got that from? Shaking her head in disgust, she picked up her bag and stormed out of the hospital. Amira turned to her husband, her voice barely above a whisper, and her eyes searching for reassurance. Leroy, your mother thinks I cheated on you. Leroy held her by the shoulder, looking into her tears-filled eyes. No, she doesn't think so, okay? She's just angry and confused. You stay here and rest. Let me go and talk to her, okay? He kissed her forehead before rushing out after his mother. Just as he disappeared down the hallway, the doctor walked in. His expression was grim. Miss Amira, I am so sorry, but your son has fallen into a coma. Amira's eyes widened in horror. She let out a choked gasp, clutching her chest as fresh tears streamed down her face. Her body convulsed in agony, but this time she could not even scream. She gripped the hospital bed, sobbing profusely. The doctor continued gently. I understand what you are going through, ma, but we need to find a donor urgently. If we don't, in less than 6 months, we might lose him. Amira closed her eyes tightly. Just then, Leroy ran back into the room. Doctor, what's going on? He asked. The doctor sighed. I was just telling your wife that your son has fallen into a coma. If nothing is done soon, we might lose him. Leroy's eyes fell. What can we do now? There are no more family members to test, doctor. The doctor explained that they could check other hospitals for possible matches or even arrange for blood to be shipped from abroad. Determined to save their son, Leroy and Amira decided to focus on finding a solution first before addressing the situation of the twins' paternity. Meanwhile, Leroy's mother arrived home in a fit of rage. She pulled out her phone and called the rest of the family. Can you imagine? Can you believe what that harlot did? Amira has disgraced our family. She had the audacity to give birth to another man's children for your brother. She has been sleeping around like a shameless woman, and now she wants to pretend she is innocent. Never. She must live my son's life. Warn her, call your brother. You see that woman, that girl, she have to leave that house. I will not allow my family's name to be dragged in the mud like this. The next day, Leroy left for work, leaving Amira alone at home. She was sitting quietly when the doorbell rang. She opened it, only to come face to face with her husband's two sisters. Before she could even greet them, a hard slap landed on her cheek. Shocked, she staggered backward. Before she could recover, another slap struck her other cheek. You shameless woman. One of them spat. How dare you bring disgrace to our family? The other settled. Did you think you could get away with it? I swear, Amira said. Amira tried to explain, but another slap silenced her. We don't want your pathetic excuses. You better leave this marriage peacefully, or we will make your life a living hell. You have embarrassed us enough. With that, they turned on their heels, got into their car, and drove off. Amira stood at the doorway, both hands clutching her burning cheeks, tears spilling down her face as she slowly closed the door and went back inside the house. Few weeks later, and Amira was seen, pacing back and forth in the living room, her phone clutched tightly in her hands. Her heart pounded with anxiety as she made one call after another to different hospitals. Her voice hoarse from repeated explanations. Hello, this is Mrs. Amira Leroy. Please, I am looking for a donor with blood type O negative for my son. He's in a coma and urgently needs a transfusion. Do you have any available donors? I am sorry, ma'am, but we currently don't have any compatible donor in our blood bank. Came yet another disappointing response. Tears welled up in her eyes as she clenched her jaw. Thank you, she whispered before ending the call. She quickly searched online, scanning medical websites, donor databases, and international blood banks, hoping for a miracle. Her vision blurred with tears, but she kept searching, refusing to give up. Amira began frequenting the church, spending hours on her knees praying for her child's survival. She pleaded with God, tears streaming down her eyes, her voice breaking as she whispered, Please, don't take my son away. Let him wake up. Give me a sign, please. One afternoon, as she returned from church, she drove into the compound and stepped out of the car exhausted and was about shutting her door when a splash of cold liquid drenched her from the back. The sharp sting of peppered water hit her skin and she let out a scream. Ah, Mama, what is this? She cried, clutching her burning skin. Her mother in law stood before her, her face twisted in rage. This is just a test of the suffering you will endure, you shameless woman. You think you can make a fool of my son and get away with it, carrying another man's child and pretending you are innocent. Amira sobbed, her skin burning. Amira, unable to bear the pain, ran inside, weeping uncontrollably. A few months passed, and despite all efforts, no donor had been found. Then one morning, Amira received a devastating call from the hospital. The doctor's voice was solemn. Miss Amira, I am truly sorry, but there is still no match for your son. His condition is worsening. You and your husband should prepare yourself. He has he has only a few days left. Amira's breath hushed and she let out a broken sob. No, doctor, please. There must be something we can do. The doctor sighed. We are trying our best, but time is running out. I am so sorry. Amira dropped the phone. Shaking, she picked it up again with trembling hands and dialed Leroy. When he answered, she could barely get the words out between her sobs. Leroy, they said our son only has a few days left. Silence filled the line before Leroy let out a choked cry. Sitting in his office, he covered his face, his shoulders shaking as tears streamed down his cheeks. God, please, no, please don't take my son. Meanwhile, Benjamin was all dressed to go out when his phone rang. Seeing Amira's name, he smiled. Hey, babes, he stopped, mid sentence, alarmed by the sound of her heart wrenching sob. Breathe, breathe, Amira, breathe, okay? Now tell me what happened. Through sobs, she explained everything. Benjamin sighed, rubbing his face. Calm down, okay? I am coming over right now. And just as he stepped out, he bumped into his friend Gabriel. Gabriel was tall, dark, and strikingly handsome, with piercing green eyes that made him stand out. His presence was commanding, yet his expression was always calm and composed. Gabriel raised an eyebrow. Benjamin, I was about coming to visit you. What happened? You look worried. What's going on? Benjamin let out a deep sigh. It's Amira. Her son is dying, and they can't find a donor. I need to go and see her. Gabriel placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Then, let's go together. When they arrived at Amira's house, they found her sobbing in Leroy's arms. Her mother in law sat a few feet away, her face dark with anger. Benjamin and Gabriel greeted everyone. Amira stood up and ran into Benjamin's arms, seeking comfort from her best friend. Leroy's mother immediately stood up, clapping her hands mockingly. Aha! Eh, yes, that's him, your side man, your spare tire. You have destroyed my son's life to the point he doesn't even care if you bring men into his home. Shameless woman, just look at you. Look at what you have done to my son. Ah, Jehovah. Everyone in the room fell into silence, embarrassed by the outburst. Leroy turned to his mother, his face filled with frustration. Mama, calm down. Amira is not like that. And for your information, this is Benjamin, Amira's childhood friend. Also, Mama, he's not straight, and I am sure the gentleman with him is also his friend. His mother's eyes widened in shock as she glanced between Benjamin and Gabriel. Oh, oh well, still, this woman has disgraced us, she said. Ignoring her, Amira offered Benjamin and Gabriel seats. They sat down, discussing all the effort they made to find a donor for their child. With no success, the room fell into an uneasy silence. Then, Gabriel suddenly cleared his throat. Can I at least get tested? He asked. The room fell silent. Everyone turned to him in shock. Who is this stranger requesting to get tested? Amira's mother in law sneered. Benjamin turned to Gabriel. Are you serious? You will do that? Gabriel nodded, solemnly. I don't know why, but I have a feeling I should. Let me try. Hope flickered in Amira's eyes as she turned to Leroy. Leroy, please, let's take him to the hospital, she said. Leroy, though hesitant, finally nodded. All right, let's go. As he got up to leave, Amira clutched her chest, whispering to herself, God, please, let this be the miracle we have been waiting for. They arrived at the hospital and Gabriel got tested and was a match. And with that, Amira's child was stable. They offered to pay Gabriel, but he refused the money. Soon, peace of mind was finally restored to Leroy and Amira, despite trying to ignore the bitter truth about the paternity. Leroy still couldn't know peace because there was a secret deep in his heart he couldn't let out. One day, Amira drove to the hospital to visit her son, but was surprised to see Gabriel sitting next to him with tears in his eyes. He began, My handsome boy, I can't believe I almost lost you. I wish I had come earlier. You would have long recovered by now. Please get better. Get better, my sweet Josiah. Amira, standing behind him at the door, with her mouth opened wide in shock, she moved past him and asked, "Who is Josiah?" Gabriel stood as he wiped his tears. I, he stammered. Amira caught in. I heard everything, so please don't lie to me. Tell me the truth. Who is Josiah? She asked. Gabriel then went ahead and explained how he had known Amira since college. They both attended the same college and he fell in love with her from a distance. He couldn't walk up to her to express himself because back then he used to be a nerd. He was deeply in love, so he started stalking her, enrolling in the same university as her until she left school. I told myself I wasn't going to marry anyone but you. So when you left school, I didn't know where to find you. Many years down the line, I came across you and your husband at a supermarket and I followed you. Since then, I have been stalking you from work to your house to anywhere you go until you went to visit Benjamin. Then I realized Benjamin was the key to finally getting close to you and expressing my feelings, regardless of your marital status. So I pretended to become friends with Benjamin, who was unaware of my motives, hoping to always see and spend time with you. Then it came. Gabriel stopped, as if finding it hard to continue. And what came? Amira asked. The night you slept at Benjamin's place, over a misunderstanding with your mother in law. I know what you're thinking. Oh, yes, I was at Benjamin's place that day. When Benjamin offered to make you a cup of tea, I told him to find you something to wear while I make the tea. And then I included something inside. What did you add and who gave it to you? Amira asked, shaking. I don't know why, but I always carry this drug with me anywhere I go. I take it only when I want to sleep, without stress. So I include it in your tea. And when I noticed Benjamin had slept, I came into your room. And that was how Josiah was made. I mean, our son. You can see he has my eyes. You were the one that undressed me at Benjamin's. Amira asked, horrified. Gabriel nodded, and with that, Amira gave him a loud slap that led to the bleeding of one side of his mouth. Then she walked out straight into the doctor's office. He was surprised to see her. Miss Amira, I hope all is well. Did Gabriel do a DNA test with my son? She asked. Oh, yes, the doctor replied. But I thought you were aware, since you also allowed him to donate his blood to the child. Mr. Doctor, sir, she said. This is far from professional, but I will let it pass for now. And what was the result about the paternity? She asked. Oh, Mr. Gabriel Madu is 99.99% his father. I mean, the biological father of your son. Amira was tired. With no tears left to cry, she went home, sad and tired, wondering how to explain everything to Leroy. Soon, Leroy came downstairs, kneeling, and Amira was confused. Why? Why are you kneeling? She asked. There's been a secret I have been keeping away from you since we started dating and got married. Amira was shocked. What secret? What secret are you talking about, Leroy? She asked. He continued. I am the reason for our childlessness for 9 years. What? Amira froze. Please, please, don't be angry. I beg you. Please, let me explain. Way back at school, I always knew I didn't want to have children. But I thought maybe after graduation, I would see a doctor about it. But then, an ex girlfriend of mine got pregnant, and I pressurized her to abort it. That pushed me into not wanting to wait anymore after graduation. So I went straight to a doctor and had a vasectomy. What? Leroy, Amira whispered. Amira, Amira, look, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Amira stood up, nodding her head. You have betrayed me in the worst way, Leroy. 12 years. We started trying for 12 years, and you never thought it was wise to tell me around our third year of dating that you were the one responsible for our inability to have children. Then, 9 years inside our marriage with no children, and your parents thought it was my fault. No wonder you always defend me from them because it's been your doing all along. Oh, Leroy, why? I am sorry, Leroy continued. I couldn't bring myself to tell you or my family. And when you told me you were pregnant, I went back to my doctor to ask how was it that you were able to get pregnant. Then he told me the procedure I had was not 100% guaranteed. At the end of the day, I fell in love with our twins and I don't care about any paternity. Please forgive me. Let us live together again like one big happy family. Amira stood, nodded her head, went upstairs, packed her bags, and met Leroy, who was still kneeling. I am sorry, she said. All this information is too much. I have heard enough for one day, and I just need some space, some peace. Please, if you love and respect me at all, then please don't call me. Don't look for me. I am going with Junior. Please, take care of our son. I will return for him as soon as he is out from coma. And with that, Amira left and never looked back. Hey guys, please drop your answers in the comment section below. Should Amira forgive Leroy for keeping such a deep secret from her for years? And should Gabriel be punished for what he did, or should he be given a chance to be in his son's life? If you were Amira, how would you handle the situation? The moral lesson in this story is that honesty is essential in relationships. Hidden secrets can destroy even the strongest bonds. Never assume responsibility for another person's action because Amira suffered years of blame for something that was never her fault. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and tell me what you think about the story. See you soon with another beautiful story. Bye.